I'm going to minimize. Okay, there will be opportunity, coaches, for you to ask questions before we dismiss you all. But there will be some time. I'm going to pause the video. It's a 12-minute video. I don't want to get too bogged down with questions, but during the video. But I'll pause just to make sure we kind of absorb what we're hearing there. 11 a.m. I'm projecting coaches will be excused. Coaches, you'll be responsible for sending Greg Schuler, who's the commissioner of Commonwealth League. Carl, you're exempted from this, but let him know that you attended this meeting. 11 a.m. coaches excused. Anna Cook, who is what's your title, Anna? High Exalted Commissioner for the Lexington Middle School League, something like that?
No, I mean, technically commissioner, but that's a big title.
The bigger the title, the less the pay, I've found out. So middle school coaches will join Anna on a separate Zoom, and I'll join them after I talk with the umpires. Hopefully everybody will be finished by noon or sooner. Coaches for high school will be done hopefully at 11. Okay, let's go right into the rules interpretation video. This primarily discusses points of emphasis for this year and rules changes for this year. It actually just sort of goes over the highlights for rules changes.
USA Lacrosse presents the 2022 Girls High School Lacrosse Rules Interpretation video.
That's not very loud at all, but it's as loud as I've got it. Sorry.
This video outlines the rule changes.
My thing pauses every time I let somebody in.
The high school rule changes for 2022 include the allowance for expanded opportunities for unrestricted substitutions, adjustments to penalty administration for goalies, boundary restarts, and equipment clarifications. In order to prepare for the upcoming season, be sure to review the 2022 Girls Rules Book, the USA Lacrosse Women's Officials Training Manual, and all other supplementary materials regarding these changes. In addition to these rule changes, the USA Lacrosse and NFHS Rules Committee has identified the following points of emphasis. Sportsmanship.
Yes.
The Rules Committee wants to emphasize the critical role of sportsmanship in the safety and positive experience for the student athlete. Sportsmanship is based on a respect for the rule of the game and one's opponent. Coaches, players, officials, administrators, and spectators in the interscholastic environment have an expectation to demonstrate behavior that creates a positive and encouraging atmosphere. The committee encourages officials to provide effective communication and game management to help deter acts of unsportsmanlike conduct. When such methods are not enough to manage behavior, those in violation should be held accountable with administration of cards. Event management can also serve as an asset in creating an expectation of respect within the playing facility and creating a
I'm getting chat stuff. We'll deal with some things later. Don't worry.
Rough and dangerous play. Minimizing the risk of the student athlete is a priority of the USA Lacrosse Girls Lacrosse Rules Committee. With the introduction of free movement, the displacement of players due to rough and dangerous play needs to be effectively managed and eliminated. Disruptive actions jeopardize the safety of players, impedes the flow of the game, and negatively affects the integrity of the sport. Rough and dangerous play consists of forceful contact of players with the body or the cross, reckless, dangerous, or intimidating checks within playing distance of the opposing player, and any other action with the body or cross that an official deems unsafe. Managing dangerous and rough play in the midfield will consistently be a focus.
Can't believe that was a no call.
This year, the Rules Committee intends to bring more attention to recognizing these fouls as they continue into the critical scoring area by encouraging officials to apply the appropriate rules and utilize the card administration, discouraging rough and dangerous play from continuing. Consistent officiating of repetitive fouling decreases the risk of injury, improves game management, and upholds the integrity of the game. Shooting space. Shooting space continues to be one of the most difficult rules to understand in girls lacrosse. It's important that the official knows and recognizes the criteria for making the call, which includes the ball must be in the critical scoring area and above the goal line extended. The ball carrier must have the opportunity to shoot safely and be denied an opportunity to shoot by a defensive player in an illegal defensive positioning. The defensive player must be positioned in the lane between the ball carrier and the goal circle. The defensive player is not within a stick's length of an attack player. Shooting space is an immediate call and must be made to minimize the risk of injury. The attacking player is always responsible for not shooting if there is a shooting space violation. Equipment-related changes. There are few minor equipment-related changes for the 2022 season.
Let me stop there. Oh, great place to stop. Blank white screen. The POEs for this year, let me get them out of the rules book. I think I just saw them. Sportsmanship, dangerous play, and shooting space. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve. I recognize that voice, Steve. Sportsmanship, just to highlight one aspect of that, in the Commonwealth League, they adopt the Kentucky High School, the Kentucky High School Athletic Association rule on inappropriate language. That's not the way it's written, but obscenities, racial slurs, any demeaning talk. And that's not because this is girls, that's because it's sports. And if I see and can identify and hear language that fits into inappropriate in all of those categories, or in my judgment is inappropriate, from coaches to players to spectators, I'll do players and coaches, I'll card right away. If I can, for example, an inappropriate word of obscenity, a player says something, I see him say it, I card it right away. It's zero tolerance policy in things like that. Spectator gets a card, it goes on the head coach. The head coach is always responsible for maintaining spectator demeanor. Any comments on that? I'll move through these quickly. POEs, dangerous contact. That's a guilt trip. That's hard for officials to call and feel comfortable with. When the dangerous contact from the back, especially, was put into the rule book, it really was one of the criteria was those little bitty jabs to the kidneys and spleen and the hanging ribs from the back. So it's not just hitting somebody off balance or sending them to the ground. It's just those constant hits in the back. And we need to call that more often. Those are potentially dangerous, or at least can take a kid out of a game. Just jabs to the kidney. If you want to see, I mean, boxers target kidneys and spleen for hits. Shooting space is a complicated call, and coaches, shooting space is very hard to see from the bench. So you got to be pretty well lined up on something. Any questions on shooting space, dangerous contact?
I have a comment, John.
Okay, Steve, 15 seconds.
Yeah, so rough and dangerous play, they made it a point of emphasis, and in this game, you're not allowed to hit from behind. And almost all the major fouls have to do with a stick making contact with the body or rough play to where they could be knocked to the ground. So that we're going to emphasize that. I think a team should win because they outskill the other team, less so that they beat them up.
Perfect. Thank you.
There are two important
We're back
changes
on equipment.
impacting the goalkeeper. High school goalies are no longer required to wear shin guards. They are allowed and recommended equipment, but not mandated. Goalies are also now allowed to wear tinted or transitional glasses under the helmet. There are also some equipment modification clarifications for the 2022 season. The language around face masks was clarified to ensure that soft, non-abrasive masks that were worn for health, such as those worn during the pandemic or for religious reasons, could be worn. However, protective molded face masks are still prohibited. Additionally, some restrictions on hair and wrist accessories have been loosened. Non-rigid and soft material like sweatbands and hair ties can be on the arm or wrist, while hair adornments, beads, or barrettes can be worn as long as they're secured and not a danger to other players. Use of personal...
Let me stop there. So the rule on the little hair devices, hair bands that the kids would wear around their wrists, previously I would just say, could you put that on your stick? Now they can keep that on there. Those fluffy things that obviously I don't have any hair issues, but those fluffy things that girls would wear in their hair and sometimes keep a spare on their wrist, they can wear that on their wrist now. So those are the big impacts things. There's some some changes to hair devices. Just look at the details in the rules book. More is
Hey, John,
yes.
Sorry, John. I have a
No,
quick
breathe.
question.
Sure.
I have a couple girls that wear glasses, and I just want some clarification on goggles with glasses because they don't want to they're a little young, don't want to get contacts. So
yeah. When we at the coin toss, when the umpire asks if everybody is properly equipped and uniformed in accordance with NFHS rules to include the goalie chest protector, you will at that point verify that they have the appropriate eye protection. I can send you the link on. I'm not going to go around to everybody's eye protection and make sure they have the right number. But with that question, I've just transferred liability. So I can send you, if you could email me, and I'll send you the link that gives the list of, there should be a number in the rules book. I don't have it in front of me. Steve, if you might want to, if you could look through that, the rules book on personal equipment and see the rule where the number is, it may not even require a number this year. There's some sort of approved number that will be on the goggles or should be on the goggles in the future. But I can get you that link to those that are approved.
I believe it's
Awesome.
I believe it's 803 and SEI approved.
803, that's not a paragraph number, is it? What is that?
That's the
803
number
is
I
the
believe.
number on the goggles. Okay. SEI approved 803. Okay.
803.
But Bree, if you could email me, I'll give you the, give anybody email me, I can give you the goggle link.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah,
in-
we just have a couple girls with glasses, and we weren't sure how that worked. Thank you.
Okay.
In regard to the ones to purchase, the cheapest and the best I found are made by a company called Bangers, BANGERZ, that go over top of glasses.
Bangers. Okay, thank you so much.
Bruce. Okay. I saw Zoom user, so it's Bruce. Okay.
Audible Devices.
Here we go.
The rule now specifically outlines that officials can wear personal audible devices during competition to aid in communication as the pace of play has increased.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Substitution rules. The allowances for when substitutions can occur has greatly expanded in alignment with the free movement. Some notable changes include during injury and timeouts, between overtime periods, during the administration of a card, and during a redraw. Substitutions must now follow these parameters. 1. They must go through the sub box. 2. The player subbing in must still wait for the player to exit the field unless it's after a goal. 3. A player cannot enter the field after the official's hand is on the sticks for the draw. 4. During the administration of a penalty, the offending player and player awarded the ball cannot be subbed. 5. If the player subbing adds an extra or an illegal player to the field. 6. An ejected player cannot be returned to the game. Official timeouts. Official timeouts have been expanded.
Let me stop at substitutions very quickly. I just had to admit somebody. Okay. If my hands are on the stick as the umpire, don't send anybody in or out. Well, no, you can go out. Just you can't send anybody in. The door is closed when my hands are on the stick for the draw. We can start play with fewer than 12 on the field, counting the goalie. You do not have to play with a goalie. 12 players is the max. One may be the goalie, but I'll make sure you don't have over 12 players, or if there's a card in over whatever. I don't have to remind you to get a player on the field. If you have a player that hasn't gotten on the field, they can't come in during the draw when my hands are on the stick, but they can come in after obeying all the other rules. So for example, if you're for some reason, I can't imagine a high school girl being aware of what's going on. But if they're not on the field and you only have 11 players on the field, my hands go on the stick, you can't send anybody in, and they can't come in. They have to come in the substitution area, and they cannot come in that area, but because it's between the two restraining lines until possession is declared. We all okay on substitution?
John, sorry, the exception, so the nuance to that Chris Niblock said was if there's a redraw, which means you step away from the sticks.
Yeah.
Right between the caveat is if our hands are on the sticks. So if there's a redraw, we call timeout, we do a redraw. At that point, you can substitute. But as soon as the hands go on, so the message is if you see our hands on the stick, no substitutions.
Yeah, and that's a good segue to timeouts. I think that's a grammatical error. I call it times out, but anyway, here we go. Whoa, darn. Well, I'll get that to about where it was.
The ball carrier and the goal circle. Goalie material like some notable changes include during injury and timeouts between field, unless it's after a goal. The offending play of the game. Official
Okay.
timeouts. Official timeouts have been expanded to now include 1. Offside fouls, 2. Alternate possession, and 3. Inadvertent whistle. These situations are
Officials pay attention, especially call timeout for offsides. So that's a whistle start. That's not a self start, that's a whistle start.
added to the existing official timeouts such as injury, issuance of card, and redraw. The exception remains for a redraw after goals with a 10-goal differential. Stop clock. In 2022, the clock
Okay, coaches and officials, last 2 minutes of each half, pay attention, please.
no longer must stop on every whistle in the last 2 minutes and in overtime. During the last 2 minutes in an overtime, it still must stop for 1. Officials timeout, 2. Goals, 3. Fouls in the critical scoring area. The exception remains if there is a running clock for a 10-goal lead. The clock will run for fouls in the critical scoring area, goals, and redraws. Resuming play. Resuming play on boundary balls.
First off, okay. New rules on the last 2 minutes. So the clock will stop, not with every whistle, every boundary ball, every whatever. The clock will stop. Help me remember, Steve and Susie. It's getting more like the college game. Essentially, the addition is the clock will stop in the last 2 minutes anytime an official stops the clock, and on a penalty, we should stop the clock anyway at that point, inside the CSA. Ball goes out of bounds, clock keeps running. Goal scored under 10 rule, 10 or less rule, goal differential, clock keeps running.
And John, to add to that, or clarify, that's each half.
Each half.
The last 2 minutes of each half, and that it's
and overtime.
Clock stops for only the fouls within the CSA.
Right.
Unless they're at the end of the game, unless there's a running clock, and then it does not stop on fouls in the CSA.
Correct.
Okay.
To resume play when the ball has gone out of bounds, the player may now commence play with a self-start from out of bounds relative to the spot where the ball went out of bounds when self-starts are allowed. The clock is not stopped. The rule change eliminates the option for a whistle start and a self-start from inbounds. The rule language also clarifies the engagement guidelines, specifying that the opponent can engage when the ball carrier enters the field. It also clarifies defensive positioning, stating that all players must be 2 meters from the boundary line. And lastly, it changes the penalty for passing from out of bounds. If a player throws the ball in from out of bounds, it is a minor foul and a change of possession. Player positioning on the draw.
Okay, sorry to keep stopping, but these are important questions. When self-starting first came in, we were resetting. It was a violation of the rules, but there was no penalty attached to throwing the ball, passing the ball in from out of bounds. Now we are assessing that penalty. That is a minor foul. You can only restart a boundary ball from running it in. You cannot step in and wait for our whistle, or you, the player. The player cannot pass from out of bounds. If either of those are done, it's a minor foul penalty. Well, passing it in is a minor foul penalty. It's a turnover, ball warded to the opponent, and it is administered on the field. No penalty is administered off the field, so it would be 4 meters in. So the only way to restart a boundary ball is for the girl to run it on. Once she steps on, she's restarted. Everybody absorb that okay?
We don't need a whistle. It's not a whistle start. It's a self-start anywhere, right?
To self-start, and you don't need a whistle. Let me.
Right. It's a self-start anywhere out of bounds is what I mean.
Okay, let me. You're starting to talk like an official. We love to beat rules to death, so that's good. Thank you. On a boundary ball, the only option is to run the ball. Well, to carry the ball on. You don't have to run. You can walk on. Once the step is taken in bounds, she's restarted. Now, also for a boundary ball, the opponent only has to give the player 2 meters, and she needs to step in approximately where the ball went out of bounds. She cannot see a wall of players 2 meters in front of her and say, oh, I'm going to go down here 10 meters and go in.
Do they have to set their feet still? It used to be you had to like establish inbounds. No. So they could
No.
like theoretically like not take a running start necessarily, but they don't have to like come to a stop before they start running.
She can, yeah, the run or the bringing the ball on from out of bounds has to, yeah, she can just pick up the ball and go. That's your question, I think. She can just pick up the ball and go. She doesn't have to stop and out of bounds and then go.
No, she doesn't have to stop inbounds. So like
No,
it used
she
to be
does
like
not. No,
okay.
she does not.
What does that rule change in under 2 minutes for a whistle start?
Well, no, that's eliminated. So there's no automatic, there's no stop clock on a boundary ball in the last 2 minutes. A lot of those, clock stop in the last 2 minutes last year was a clock stopped on any whistle. This year it's on any official's timeout, any foul in the CSA, I'm running out of brain cells here. Essentially, it's whenever we do this. We don't do
Goals.
that on a boundary ball.
I think,
Clock
John,
is not- yeah,
hey,
Steve,
John,
go ahead.
I think the point is that under 2 minutes in the CSA, if there's a foul on a boundary ball, which only is between the CSA and behind the goal, if there's a
Right.
foul, then that's whistled in. But if it's just simply out of bounds, it's not a whistle. So if a ball goes out of bounds, normally on a boundary ball, you can just pick it up and run in, step in, walk in. You know, you're on your own to do that. The defender does have to give 2 meters. They can't hug the sideline. They got to give you 2 meters to be able to step onto the field.
Did that over answer your question?
That answers it. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm not making fun of Steve. I was trying to qualify
Yes, you
everything
were.
I said.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't trying. It just comes natural, Steve. Oh, darn.
Alright,
I
I have
did
a
that
question
again.
about the boundary ball.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
I didn't know if you guys could hear me. We were lenient the last couple of years when they brought in the self-start rule, where if the girl picks the ball up and waits for the whistle, we would tell her it's self-start, go ahead. Now, if they stop and look at us and wait for us to blow the whistle, are we still going to be lenient about that, where we tell them it's a self-start, or are we just going, is it going to be a turnover? Because that's
Okay.
a delay of game. technically.
Right. I get it. And here's the fine tuning of that. Once they have stepped on, they've self-started. So if a girl steps on and looks at me for a whistle, I'll just say you self-started. Or she has self-started. I'll tell everybody she started. Does that answer your question? I mean, there's no requirement for her to stop and look at me.
I know, but if she does, because she doesn't understand that the rule has changed. Like if she
Right.
steps out, if she is out of bounds with the ball, waiting for play to start because she's waiting for a whistle, and she doesn't understand that you have, like, it's a self-start play.
Yeah.
Would we assess it as a delay of game?
No, it's not a delay of game. She started. You can stand still on the field. So, but if it looks like she's confused, I will say you've already started.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
If we get in a situation where we have like, if say like the team's on defense and the offender is coming in, but for some reason she stopped, she doesn't know she self-started, we don't have, the defenders can go ahead and approach her and start playing defense, correct?
That is correct. Once the ball carrier has initiated the self-start, and that's in this case the boundary ball, she stepped in, defenders can engage.
Right.
Well, you know, I'm not sure on this. In the regular self-start in the middle of the field, you haven't started until you take a step or you make a pass. So, and then
That's what I was, that's what my earlier question was about, because it used to be that you had to, like, even if you entered the field, you had to make a movement for the defender to approach.
well, because
No.
you can't start from out of bounds, you can only start from inbounds. And then so you have to step in. So if you
Steve,
have
I'm
one,
sorry.
if you have
Steve,
one, well, I'm just throwing it out there. If you have 1 foot in, are you on the field?
okay. A boundary ball is started once the step is taken in bounds.
So as soon as the girl, so we had issues with this last season. So as soon as she steps, I switched from Indiana to Kentucky this year,
Sure.
coaching. So as soon as she steps in bounds, my defenders can approach her.
Yes,
Okay.
that was not the case last year, sort of. So I prefer not, I mean, I understand the context of your question. This year, she takes that step in and stops. She's initiated the self-start. Now, on the field, for a penalty, she's either passes the ball, it leaves her stick, or she takes a step, which means foot up and then foot down. That's initiating the self-start. She may wait. She may wait for a whistle. She may wait for the girl with the ball. May wait for players to get their 4 meters behind or away. She does not have to. As soon as that foot up, foot down, or the ball leaves the head of the stick on a penalty on the field, she has initiated the self-start.
I have a question for that. When does a pivot count as the step?
No, foot up, foot down. Foot off the ground, foot down.
So is it like basketball where you have a pivot foot and she can
Oh,
spin on
you
it?
don't want to talk that. Yes, it is, but well, no, because if you're pivoting, the
You're
other
stepping.
foot has gone up and down.
Yeah. So there's no pivot foot. It's like as soon as she makes any movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now you'll get what you get a lot of times is girls just kind of making an easy lateral movement, a quick step to try to get a better angle. That is an initiation of the self-start.
John, I have a question in regard to the 2 meter distance for the defender.
2
along the
meter,
boundary.
okay, on boundary balls.
So boundary ball goes out of bounds, comes up, gets ready to come with free movement going on at that time. Can you send a triple team of girls 2 meters away?
Sure.
And all of a sudden the player coming on is facing a double or triple team.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The caveat is 2 meters is roughly 2 sticks lengths. So it's not a stick's length, it's roughly 2 sticks lengths. But yeah, I mean, that's fine, yeah. But once she steps on, she can pass. I'm trying not to get into the coaching nuances here. Oh, darn, why does that do that? Sorry, guys. Old man and technology. Let's see, where was I? About there?
Listing official timeouts such
Okay.
as
We're almost
goals
through.
and
If I could get
redraws.
through this.
Resuming play. Defensive positioning, stating that all players must be 2 meters from the boundary line. And lastly, it changes the penalty for player positioning on the draw. The change of possession.
Let's start it there.
Player positioning on the draw. Player positioning on the draw. This rule change greatly simplifies the application of draw positioning for players, so the draw positioning is only required for instances where a draw is being taken. Therefore, it is not a foul, free position, at the center, including scoring fouls. Draw positioning is no longer required. If possession has been assigned, then draw positioning does not apply. Stick exchange. The establishment of a new minor foul for illegal exchange of sticks establishes the correct procedure for swapping sticks with a player on the field. The stick must now be passed through the sub box. Delay of game. Under the definition of minor foul,
Okay, I'm I'm risking things there, but on this restarting my video, I don't know if too many people exchange sticks. Some kids have draw sticks that they use. That has to occur within the substitution area. The sticks need to pass. The player does receiving the stick or passing it out and then in again and receiving it in does not have to step out of bounds. The stick exchange has to occur in the substitution area. A coach can step into the substitution area and exchange the stick and then step back out. I've not seen that too much, but it can happen. Minor fouls.
foul, delay of game, failure to stand has been deleted. False start remains a major foul. Major fouls, false starts by the goalkeeper. This rule change allows the goalie to remain in the goal circle for the free position when the goalie false starts and the penalty administration is at the nearest dot.
Okay, now get the concept here. A false start from the goalie is in some way if she passes out of the goal circle or steps out of the goal circle and it is a whistle start. Goal circle violation is a whistle start. What I will usually do for the goalie is say, it's a whistle start, count starts on the whistle. These new rules, I have to talk a lot more.
This is the exception to major fouls in the critical scoring area that, 1, the goalie does not have to go behind, and 2, the administration is at the dot, not the 8-meter free position. Other goalkeeper changes. There is a minor change for the administration of alternate possession in the critical scoring area, which allows the goalkeeper to return to the goal circle for the alternate possession unless they have committed the foul, even if the goalkeeper is the closest player to the ball. Changes to the goal circle rules now provide an allowance for the goalkeeper to have 1 foot out of the goal circle to bring the ball back into the goal circle as long as 1 foot is in or on the goal circle. Reminder that the goal circle line is in itself considered part of the goal circle, and as long as one of the goalie's feet is within the plane of the line, she is able to bring the ball back in. Thank you all for reviewing this video and the rule changes for
Okay, let me leave that on for a second. So now, the goalkeeper, when going to retrieve the ball out of the goal circle, she may keep 1 foot in the goal circle, and that includes the line. She may step out and reach for a ball to bring it back in, or to go back out with it for that matter, or to go out with it, not to continue going out with it. That is the only time she can take 1 foot out and not be called for a violation. So that is no longer a goal circle violation. However, if the goalie takes one step out and places herself, for example, in shooting space, if she is not going out of the circle to get a ball that's on the ground, she is grounded out, she becomes a field player, and she can be called for shooting space. Now, did I just confuse everybody?
I have a question on that one. So
Sure.
The goalie's stick and 1 foot can come out to scoop the ball up and bring it back in, but they can't cover it, because then are they like a field player in that regard where it still can't be covered outside of the goal circle?
Well, there's legal covering and illegal covering. You can cover the ball, for example, a boundary ball, a ball that's going toward the boundary. No other players around you. You can cover it and rake it back in. What makes a cover illegal is other opponents around you while if you cover the ball, opponents around you are in playing distance. So you've kept an opponent from getting the ball with a cover. That's an illegal cover. Now, the goalie's stick, whether she's 2 feet in, 1 foot in, can always be checked if it is outside the goal circle. The goal stick can be played outside, her stick can be played outside the goal circle. If she's standing 2 feet in, her stick goes out of the goal circle and she illegally covers the ball, that's a minor foul, illegal covering. Did I over answer that?
I think that answered it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
So here's a nuance I asked Chris Niblock, was that the goalie can step out with 1 foot in the goal circle, 1 foot out, and reach for a ball and pull it back into their goal circle,
Yeah.
or pick it up and bring it back in. So I asked the opposite. Well, what if they're straddling the goal circle and the ball goes into the goal circle, or they roll it into the goal circle? To pick that ball up, they cannot be straddling. They have to be wholly inside the goal circle,
Right.
to pick that ball up.
That means she had possession with her foot outside. So she would have to step out and have the ball played before she gets back into the goal circle with it.
Well, if there's a loose ball in the goal circle and she's straddling, she just has to get her both feet in,
Right.
and then she can pick up that loose ball in the goal circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try to catch that though. No, actually that's probably pretty easy to catch.
So
Well,
can
not-
the goalie, I'm sorry, I understand 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Can they play it with their stick if their body's inside the circle, but their stick is outside the circle with the ball?
Okay, who is they? Can they play it? The goalie? Rephrase
Yes,
that
sorry.
question.
So can the goalie, and I may have just missed this in the clarification. I understand now they can play it with 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but can they go to pick up the ball with their stick outside the goal while they're still in the circle?
Yes.
Okay.
Both feet in, they can reach out, but their stick may be checked if the stick is out getting the ball.
And could they be with their feet in and their stick out, if they accidentally check another field player's stick, could they be called on an empty stick check?
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not making fun of you, but I don't deal with whether it's accidental or on purpose. If they illegally check a player with their stick out, the goalie stick out, goalie illegally checks a player, they've committed a foul. Does that answer your question? I think that was Annie. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's sometimes hard to tell intentionality versus incidental
Well,
when they're going for the same balls, but yeah.
Yeah. Incidental probably occurs more with, was it incidental contact or an empty stick check on the field, not necessarily with the goalie? Are they clicking together, just both of them going for the ball? Or usually what you can see there is, does the checker hit the stick of the other player, just hit the stick, not even going for the ball? That really happens sometimes on draws, both players reaching for the stick or for the ball. They click together. That's not an empty stick. That's incidental. But if you see one player's stick sweeping and going toward the shaft, let's say, of the other player, that's an empty stick check. I try not to get in people's minds evaluating what's legal or not legal. What happened.
Hey, John.
Yeah, Steve.
So what's easier for me is if there are some absolute rules, and I wasn't sure if the question was related to this, but when the goalie stick is outside of the goal circle, it's a field stick other than scoring a goal. So her stick, if she checks somebody or if her stick is checked, it's all the same rulings, right? Empty, slash,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, because your stick outside the goal circle is a field. It's on the field now, and it can be played, and the goalie can be called for an empty stick or a cover or a slash or all those things. And then the goalie stick can be played just the same way. Goalie stick, if it's checked and it's empty, that's an empty. Is that right? The goalie stick outside the goal circle has the same rulings as a field stick.
Yes.
As far as fouls, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay, what's my next one here? I have no idea. Okay, any questions overall on stuff? Susie, do you have any comments? You're the dean of umpires here. I guess not.
I have a question, John.
Yeah, Bree, hi.
Can you clarify like across the body checks, please? Like one thing that like during we played in this like fall ball kind of tournament in Louisville, and we'd have a girl, she'd have the ball, it'd be like a self-start, right? And she'd have the ball in her right hand. The defender that was mirroring her, they would have the stick in their right hand, so obviously not same side. You get what I'm saying? And so my girl would like make their movement, and the defender would come in and check, like, to me, what I thought was across the body, coming across her and checking it out of her right hand. Is that legal? To me, that's across the body. It's coming because it's coming in front of, like, for me, I thought she would have to switch her stick to her left hand in order to make that check clean and away. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. She would not have to switch hands.
Or just bring it over.
Yeah, it makes it more difficult. Just simply reaching across the body is not illegal. However, major fouls, Rule 10, Section 1, Item U, reach across the body is listed as a major foul. It is described as reach across an opponent to check the cross when level with or behind the opponent.
When level with or behind. Okay, so if they're in front, then.
If they're in front and it doesn't violate any other thing, like in the sphere or, I don't know, dangerous contact or something like that. I'm just trying to think of what else it could be. If they're in front, they're okay.
Okay. I just wasn't sure because there was like a couple times where like, I guess it would just be in the sphere because they would get close to.
Yeah, that could be called, but remember, except on the fouls that are required cards, they can, an umpire can advantage that or hold the whistle. So if there's no, my approach to that is if I'm not taking advantage away from the ball carrier by blowing the whistle and calling the foul, then I'm good with it. So for example, if I give an advantage. So if your ball carrier is taking some steps forward, let's say she's taken 2 running steps forward, the girl is in front of her and reaches across, which is still legal if she's in front, but say goes in the sphere. Now, who have I penalized if I blow the whistle? If I penalized your girl carrying the ball who is already self-started, I'm just going to hold up my hand for an advantage.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for the
I'm glad
clarification.
it makes
So it
sense.
has to be level. The defender has to be level or behind in order for it to be across the body dangerous check. Not
Yes.
in front is fine. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't classify it necessarily as dangerous, but you're not allowed to look in the manual. Didn't have time to dig up the manual for that, but it's Rule 10, Section 1. There's only one section in Rule 10. Item, where'd I go? That was minor fouls. Rule 10, Section 1, Item U is reach across the body, but that defines it. The manual, I think, if I can recall correctly, says attempting to check. Well, what's an attempt to check? Is it a successful check? Is it a click of the sticks? Is it just swiping across? I view just swipe now. I view swiping across as an attempt to check. And I'm not running down middle school players, but there's what I call the middle school defense, where the girl with the ball has beaten the defender and they're running along the side with the stick in front of them. If I see in any way that that's impeding the progress of the girl with the ball, I would probably call reach across the body for that. Okay, any more questions?
John, I have a question in regard to the use of the stick in defensive positioning.
Okay.
We know about horizontal sticks, and that when I think Chris had used this terminology in the past about meet and greet with a player.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about is the swinging of arms into an offensive player, and often that the stick makes contact. There's no stick to body contact allowed, but it's almost, I guess I'd call it pushing or aggressive repositioning of the attack player by extending arms into the attack player. I assume that is a foul, but that you're supposed to make contact with your arms already extended when you make contact with the offensive player. I'd like just to get some more clarification about what officials are looking for in those situations.
Okay, gosh. Well, the horizontal stick is actually a part of illegal stick to body. The signal is the old horizontal stick signal. It's the two fists extended out like you would a horizontal stick. The sticks of the defender, when they contact an attacking a person with the ball, or any player for that matter, must be between the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I'm getting a running start on my answer here. Once they drop between 10 and 2 and 9:30 and 2:30 maybe, allow me some fuzziness here. Susie's coming back in. Okay. Allow me some fuzziness there. The contact is it's not the college rule. The contact is always the responsibility of the defender who has dropped her stick horizontal. Displacement does not have to occur. College rule is displacement. Has she shoved her partner or the girl she's guarding or playing? So anytime there's just more than a meet and greet, the attacker comes in and just kind of bumps up against her and backs off, and the stick is below 10 and 2, there's always a call on the defender. There may be a charge, but remember the meet and greet. I'm getting a lot
John?
Yeah, Steve.
I'm not sure if this is part of the question, but they can reach out and play a player with their arms extended.
Yeah.
And meet and greet. They just can't thrust. You can't thrust your arms out, but you can meet them with your hands touching their body. Right?
Yeah. Yes, but contact needs to occur with the stick between 10 and 2. If you're reaching out horizontally, I'll probably call a illegal stick to body horizontal. Did we dance all the way around your question? Was it Bruce?
This is Dean Walker with DuPont Manual.
Oh, Dean. Oh, Dean. Okay, I didn't recognize your voice. Okay.
So, yeah, I think you've got it. I mean, the biggest thing I see is in that meet and greet is an extension of the arms into the attack player.
Yeah.
When you start to see your players coming off with stripes down their arms from
Yeah.
the stick, that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah, and Dean, I appreciate your question because you always coach a very safe but technically proficient team. Yeah, and umpires, and especially umpires that go between college and high school, have kind of a gear shift they need. Umpires that go and do like off-season elite type tournaments that are college showcases probably aren't calling that as much as they should. Any contact by the defender with a horizontal stick, displacement or not, extending arms or not, is a horizontal or illegal stick to the body.
Good.
As long as it's stick to the body, right? So
Yeah.
you can do equal pressure with your glove or your hand.
Yeah, and in girls lacrosse, the hand is not a part of the stick. But then you get into, well, what's pushing and what's not. Yeah, a lot of fuzzy stuff in this sport.
Well, we are going to emphasize rough and dangerous play.
Yeah.
But I get part of the defense is if you can't touch them at all, then you can't touch them. But you're trying to avoid injury, but they're allowed to put their hand on their their hand on their stick. Their hands have to be on the stick, but they can make contact with the body as long as they don't thrust or the stick doesn't make contact with the body, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
right?
I think I followed that. Yeah.
I think the hardest part for me, John, with this is the newer girls that have been coached to make contact and they've got their arms out and they're sort of like always got their arms out and they're not really pushing, but it just doesn't seem right that they should have both hands fully extended, putting pressure on the player. But it's kind of like, again, there's no displacement there, but it's a super gray area. But where do you stand when the defender like comes to make contact? They've been coached to make contact and they've got bottom hand, top hand, both on the body. They're not pushing, but they're not giving. It seems like they're controlling the offender. I know it's too much of a gray area. Probably every instance is going to be different. But do you know what I mean about those kids being coached to do that?
That's good defense.
Yeah,
that's good
defense has to hold their ground.
That I would kind of I think that was Donnie that said good defense. To me, that if they're meeting with, I don't know if you can see me, but with arms extended, the stick is between 10 and 2.
Yeah.
I don't see anything to call.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the stick is between 10 and 2 and there's some displacement, you could call a push.
Yeah, I think it's the coaches that then scream like, you know, that's illegal, that's illegal. It's more a matter of the coaches not understanding than the players.
Oh, I can't imagine a coach not understanding it. I'm sorry, coaches. Sorry about that. That was hey, you get to yell at me with my back turned, so I get to send you insults. Dean was talking there. Quick story about Dean. It was, I think, my first postseason assignment. So this was several years ago, many years ago. And I had Dean's the coach at Manual. I had Manual Mail, I think, over there, and it was a rainy day. And Dean and I are good friends, but he yells at me, and I think he's saying that's competitive behavior. And I go, yeah, it is competitive. I mean, I didn't know what you were saying, Dean, was repetitive, not competitive. So I got a verification later on in that, but I always enjoy working Dean's games. Anyway, a lot of judgment for umpires. Well, that's just a hanging comment there. Anything else?
But John, my last one in regard to this, I thought Steve's comment about thrusting was really important, because what bothers me in the defensive position is like it's like a boxer taking a jab to keep somebody away from, and I see defenders jabbing attackers where they're extending, they move their arms, extend out, and jab and push, jab. They're basically jabbing and changing the attack's opportunity to go to goal by jabbing, and they're moving their arms into the player in order to do that. They're not in an established position in making contact. That's the thing that probably, I think, bothers me the most in regard to it. And I think Steve covered that well, saying if you're thrusting your arms into the player, whether displacement or not happens, that's something that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, and if it's coming from behind, that's dangerous contact. That's automatic card. So even the thrusting, the little jabs to the back may be considered dangerous contact.
Yeah, and John, for me, my understanding is, you know, there is a mechanic. You can do equal pressure, but you can't have equal pressure unless you're actually touching each other. So if the pressure is equal, the defender, the attacker won't be veering off out of bounds, because that means it's not equal. That means they're pushing them.
Yeah.
But so you can make equal pressure because you have to be able to play them, but you can't use your stick against their body, and you can't do a punch or a thrust or anything that would create injury. That's how I understand it.
Okay. I agree. Anything else, coaches? All right, where are we here? Nowhere. There we are. Just a quick blurb on complaints or rules interpretation requests. Both assigners are rules interpreters for their specific leagues and games they assign. So if you have a question on a rule related to a game, boy, video helps. But just try to describe what you're saying and then ask for a rules interpretation. It's really hard. Well, rules interpretation. If you have a complaint, coaches or umpires, going the opposite direction, a complaint against coaches, complaint against an umpire, or umpire against a coach, coaches wait 24 hours, calm down, and then get back to me, or get to me by email or give me a call. Give it 24 hours to think. If I'm happy to receive, I'm content to receive complaints. Just don't walk off the field and get on your phone and text me that you're really I know you're really upset. Let's give it 24 hours to think through. And then once you get to me, and I think this is consistent with what Chris does in Kissel, about a game I have assigned, once you get to me, then give me 24 hours or so to get back with the umpires. You know, what did you see? What's going on here from your perspective, and so on. And I'll try to, I'm not going to change the score or anything, but I'll try to adjudicate things and see what needs to be improved one way or the other. Complaints and rules interpretations to me don't involve personality. So if you just want, could you help me with shooting space? That's I'll do my best. A complaint is an umpire never called shooting space. Well, okay. Or never called it on the other team. Well, maybe the other team didn't do it. Give me something. Video helps. Video helps. And sometimes video is just so fuzzy, I can't see anything. So I'm not trying to come down hard on this. Just give it 24-hour rule. on complaints, not rules interpretations. We okay with that?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Bree. Bree's okay. I'm not making fun of it. Resources for rules. 2022 NFHS rules book. I know umpires get that automatically. Well, automatically. We'll talk about that a little bit later. With their membership, if they designate themselves as a girls official. If you do both, like Steve, you have to choose one book or the other to get free. I don't know if coaches do or not, but the rules book, when you're talking rules, the rules book helps. That was kind of a sarcasm there. Since I work with high school and middle school girls, sarcasm is the second language for me. Right, Anna? Anyway, the USA Lacrosse Women's Game Officials Training Manual. That's one of the things that I help work on at USA Lacrosse. It is a 120-page, 8.5 by 11 discussion of everything that officials need to know in interpreting rules and other things. It is required reading for officials. It's a reference book. Don't sit and try to read it back to front to cover. It is highly recommended for coaches. So it's not a requirement for coaches, but highly recommended. Coaches, if you want to know what should be in the minds of officials, this training manual will give it to you. USALacrosse.com. There's a rebranding. USALacrosse.com. It's no longer uslacrosse.org. USALacrosse.com. And then this is not a shameless plug. I've got an unofficial, no income website that I post everything on. Sliderlax.com. And if you go down the if you scroll down the posts, or if you go down the right sidebar, you'll find I got to put up the connection, the link for the rules book, but you'll find you can download the training manual in a PDF. Don't print it out unless you're Steve. Steve prints those things out for some reason. You'll find facts on difficult rules like self-start, free position, free movement, the penalty zone. What else will you find? I mean, you'll find a slew of things that'll help you look through the rules. You might want to go there and just see what's there. Again, I'm not making any money off of that. It's just I find it hard to navigate the USA Lacrosse site, and this gets you stuff one place, one-stop shopping. What else? Coaches, you're out of here. Any final comments, coaches? Coaches, tell Greg that you attended, please.
Thank you, John, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna give me 2 minutes to transition the coaches out, and umpires, we're next. Okay, enough. Umpires, we all on? I guess you wouldn't know if we are. Did I save any umpires? Okay, there's Steve, Jim.
I love that video, John. That's hilarious.
Oh, okay. Well, it continues. So who is out? Oh, Susie. Yeah, you've seen it before. Sorry for the retread on that.
But I forgot. Okay.
I am so happy to see Maddie. I mean, everybody else, but Maddie was my my rock, and you and Rachel were my rocks, and Steve at in Lexington. Okay. Matt. All right. Well, I can leave here with a smile. Attendance. I'm sorry to run through. There's not a lot. I can probably just take it after I get finished talking. I'll just go on there. Let's see. Let me confirm who I'm seeing. I see Ellie, Lauren, Lauren and Lauren. Good grief. I have there's a field hockey umpire whose first name is Alexa, so I'll yell across the field and say, Alexa, what time is it? That's a little joke. Oh, my Alexa just keyed. There's Maddie, there's Ala. I thought I had more.
Some of them might have gone to Louisville.
No, I thought I had more on the, yeah. I thought I had more on the, okay, there's some, oh, Lauren Ozier is getting back on. Okay. Well, I'll take roll when I'm finished speaking here. Rating day. I've got ratings going on. They can go on 25, 26, 27 February. If you need to be rated, if you're a new official or returning official that needs a re-rate and don't do college, college officials automatically get a rating, get a level 3. Email me and I'll put you in a game. This is the Woodford County Jamboree, so these will be actual games, though officially they are preseason games. Season starts March the 1st, I guess. So if you need to be rated, new official, whatever, send me your email and preference on day and time of day. So what I can do is give you, maybe for those of you who have not gone through ratings, half a game with following behind an experienced official, and then half a game with the officials following behind you, and then a game, experienced official following behind you, and then a game. So, I mean, I can actually probably work it out on the 26th and 27th, especially that you actually get paid for a game on which you get rated. So, send me date, preferably the 26th, sort of preferably on the 27th. That's a Sunday and it's all morning or early afternoon games. But I've got a lot of flexibility at one site on the 26th. The 25th is, if I got to, I got to. Any questions on the assigning process? I have entered all games except middle school games. 200 games, counting the out of league. Well, counting the 3 tournaments that I assigned, one in Woodford, one in Louisville with Christian Academy, and one in Owensboro, which is, well, anyway. And then I'll go maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Don't sit on assignments. Don't waiting for a better assignment. Or a better opportunity, a date or something. I don't know what you would wait for, but then again, my life is just lacrosse right now. If block out your assignments, if you need help blocking anything with Arbiter, we probably need to talk individually. So I'll work with you. Just give me a call when you've got maybe 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Paying of dues. If you're on Arbiter, this is how Matt Salee, our treasurer, told me to have you pay your dues. If you are on Arbiter, go to the lists, and the first page that comes up on lists is, or the first list that comes up is umpires or officials. Look for Matt Salee and click on his name, and that will give you his mailing address. I understand security and so on. He doesn't want me blabbing out his address. If you have trouble connecting with that, email me and I'll connect you by email with Matt. But dues are paid to Matt. I think, Steve, you were going to collect them at the meeting and give them to Matt, but since we're not physically together, can't do that. So go on Arbiter, get his address, and send it that way.
How much are they?
Oh, darn. Steve, do you know? First year officials are $0.
It's 55.
55? Okay, thank you, man. You sound excited. 55. But we got a raise this year. High school varsity are $75 in Commonwealth and $50 JV game. That's still the same. Travel. Let's see. Travel Lexington or Louisville to Bowling Green is $75. Help me. Were you going to cover this, Steve?
I can, but you go ahead. I'll jump in if it's.
Yeah, if I get it wrong. So Louisville to Lexington, Louisville and Lexington to Bowling Green is $75, or the other way around. Louisville or Lexington to E-Town is $30.
That's right.
Or the other way around. I guess those are E-Town to, well, that's E-Town to Bowling Green is $30, or the other way around. Now, any tournaments, I'm negotiating. So like for the Woodford County tournament, the Louisville officials that I pulled to Lexington are not getting travel, but you all are getting either the full varsity or full JV game fee. Christian Academy, if I pull any Lexington officials from that or anywhere else, no travel fee, and the game fee is a little bit lower. And that's just because we don't have to hustle so much to get officials for that. Owensboro is the full game fee. I think it's the same. Well, let me back away from say full game fee, but it's the same fee, JV or varsity, and no travel, but there'll be multiple games. So
another addition, between the two cities, Lexington and Louisville, and vice versa, it's $30.
30, yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, okay. Steve, you go ahead and do your talk. I'm going to have to step off and go meet with Lexington middle school coaches. There should be some opportunities there. They're not really exciting games, but I'm sorry about that, but they're not. And but they pay, and they're a good way to practice your craft. So I may call on you for that. Any questions of me, officials, before I leave?
I have a question.
Sure.
I just pulled up Arbiter as you were talking, and should we be able to see any of the games for Lexington right now or no?
I don't set that up. I don't think Chris has given the master schedule out. If you go on and click master schedule on, you should see them. Well,
yeah,
if Chris has given access.
You can see on master schedule, but should we only have KSLL on our thing? Or
No, we use KSLL Girls Arbiter site. But we do not, but all the games are on. Both leagues are on.
Okay. And then when are you going to start signing? Or
tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks.
I need to, and to assign somebody, you need fully certified. So that's join USA Lacrosse, join club. Well, I'll go ahead and assign experienced umpires because your rating is good through 31 March at least, if not next year, 31 March. And take the test, have a rating. So first year officials probably will not get any assignment except rating day, whenever you're available for rating at Woodford County, until you've gotten through the rating. I may save some for you, but Does that over answer your question,
Yes. Thank
Patty?
you.
Okay. Rating day. So go in and do your blocks, even though you haven't even though you have, hi Susie, even though you haven't fulfilled the certification requirements, all of them. Go in and do your blocks. That'll help me. Okay, I'm gonna take roll while Steve. Any other assigner questions? First year officials, give me a call if you have any trouble with Arbiter. I mean, it's a lot to learn.
Is it like a website?
Oh,
or an app that I download?
You may download the app for your phone. I find it well, generational, but I find it easier to manipulate it on a computer screen, because it's a lot of, I don't think a lot of stuff gets left out. See, I've got the Arbiter on my phone, and I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. It's got my schedule. What else has got? Schedule, contacts, that's important. But it globs all my two sports together. So I've got contacts from field hockey and this. So it's a little hard to manipulate the contacts. Inbox, well, Arbiter Pay. I can transfer my funds from Arbiter to my checking account. Arbiter Pay, I think I touched on that at the new umpires. What's it? Yeah, so I mean, the app is good. The computer screen is better for working those things. You will get, I was real OCD when I first started, and probably still am, and check about twice a day to see if I have assignments, but Arbiter will send you an email when you get an assignment. And then a heads up when your assignment is on the way. When you're, I think 2 days beforehand, you'll get a heads up.
John?
Yeah, Steve.
What about payment from different schools? It won't be all Arbiter Pay, is that right, as far as you know?
Well, I would count on the middle schools not being Arbiter Pay, Lexington middle schools. Most of the high schools are by Arbiter, but that depends on the relationship of lacrosse with the AD. Technically, lacrosse is a club, and some in Commonwealth, some teams are conglomerates, maybe have players from one or two teams. So a high school, so the AD don't really own them, and you'll get a booster club check, maybe at the game, sometimes cash. That's always a happy moment. What else? Oh, Scott County is weird. That's a conglomerate of the two high schools in Scott County. They play at Great Crossing, and the girls team is paid by Great Crossing. The guys are different, are play at Great Crossing, but are paid by Scott County High School. Weird situation, but life goes on. What else?
While you mentioned Great Crossing, if you put the GPS in to get to that field, it might send you to another location on the backside. So just a little, in case you're running close to time. If you put Great Crossing in, they could take you to the backside of it. You can park and still walk, but it's just a longer walk than if you came in from the front side. Just kind of aware of that.
Yeah, and that keyed me thinking, your lead official should initiate the contact with you and the AD. But if you have any questions on where you need to be, well, let me back up. I will always contact my partner and the host, the list that I get for the host team. That could include AD, bookkeeper, head coach, JV coach, booster parent, booster president, something like that. I always tell them I'm headed, I'll be there tomorrow for their game. I'll be there at 30 minutes before the first game. And if I have any questions about the location, I'll say, now I'm not sure where I'm going. Could you confirm this address for your where you're playing? Some teams have a couple of different places where they play, so just be aware of that. Susie, any words of wisdom on arbiter and assignments or anything else you may have?
No, not really. Arbiter is a really great tool, and when you learn how to use it, it really helps a lot. So
Yeah.
play around with it. Ask John for help if you're new to it.
Okay, thanks. I think Zoom user is Dean. Dean, you approach this from both sides. Do you have any additions on arbiter that you, as a coach, would want to hear from officials?
No, not necessarily. I think you're the model of putting out information to coaches and ADs in regard to when you're going to be there, who your partner is, and all that stuff. That's really helpful. I also would just say to officials, especially new ones coming in, learn how to use arbiter and make sure you're using your blocks, because it's a difficult situation for John and other assigners when you've left it open, they assign a game and then you have a conflict. So take your time to do your blocks and to give them an open slate of when you're available.
And
All right,
John,
yeah.
you'd like them to accept or decline timely?
Timely is a good word, yes. If you leave an assignment hanging, you're keeping somebody else who really wants to do an assignment from doing it. So as soon as you can pull the trigger on an assignment, I guess that's not politically correct way to say that, but as soon as you can do that, please do that for your buddies who also officiate.
Do you want us to put our blocks into the KSLL portion of arbiter?
The only thing, it's your account is where the blocks will go, and I'll see it. The only assignment platform that we use for Commonwealth League or the Kentucky Scholastic Lacrosse League is the KSLL Girls.
Okay.
So when you go on, yeah, that's the account you should use. I have not a lot, but I have, Susie, you probably have tons of accounts that you go on to, the different assigning platforms. I've got high school. Yeah. And the more sports you do and the more levels and like high school, college, the more assigners you'll have. And I think I'm on South Ohio's just so I can, if I can do a game in Northern Kentucky or something. Field hockey, the Kissel account. I'm trying to think if I'm sure there's some others there. Some are just administrative stuff, but yeah, Susie, you probably have a whole page of them. Keep a record of your games and when you get paid. Payment by arbiter should be turned around real quick. 5 days, let's say a week. Okay, I'm going to pile off. Steve, your call. If you need any help finding the test, take it. Don't take it before you have the rules book, and then call me if you have trouble finding it.